Welcome, everyone. We are live. And I think I have to, you have a term on your streaming on TikTok. And so my term has expired now. And I reapplied. So they'll get back to me in 24 hours. So sadly, TikTok, we won't be hanging out today with each other. But let's wait and see what happens. So the F word, fatigue. People get tired. It's a very popular post, actually, of people, especially on Reddit, when they say they're tired. They're tired of trying to make the law work. They're tired. They're fatigued. I can't do this anymore. Like, I hear it all the time. And like I say, and it's quite a popular uh, vent post on Reddit. And so we're going to talk about that today and why it happens. You see, what makes us so fatigued is the fight. We're fighting, right? We are fighting, and that's why we are fatigued. So, what we're doing as people who want to change our lives, we're fighting against our shadows. Hmm? We're fighting against the quote unquote the trauma. We're fighting against this. We're fighting against our inner child. We're fighting against everything. Okay? But the problem with fighting those things is that they make you tired because they're there, but they're not really there. What do I mean by that? In order to change the outward expression of your life, you have to change the inner impressions that are presently there. And the way to change is to impress the mind with something else. So here we are wanting to change and we're fighting. We are not impressing the mind with anything new. You're repeating the old over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. To change the outward expressions of your life, we must change the inner impressions. So to when something makes an impression upon you, right? It impacts you where you're like, "Oh, wow, like, that was awesome." Like, it leaves a literal impression upon your brain so that you're always gonna remember that time, that thing that you did because it left an impression. And because it left an impression upon you, the impression that it leaves, right, it will bring about how you felt every single time as an expression, right? So the reason why we are fatigued is because we keep fighting a shadow. We are going to the exterior to try to make things change. And when you shadow box, well, and you think it's a real opponent, that's the one thing that will make you fatigued very quickly. And it'll make you say, well, this doesn't work. I've been trying it for months. I've been trying it for years. And nothing is working because it doesn't work, and it's a cruel joke, and the universe is punishing me, and it is too much. That's what we say when we continually experience the same thing we're presently dealing with. And the reason, again, why is because there is a present impression within you. Now, here's the thing. Some of us spend a lot of time trying to find what that original cause is. That is even more exhausting, to try and find the original cause, the original culprit, the original thing that left the impression on you in the first place. And they usually tell you, it's in your childhood. So now what are you doing? You've gone backwards into your childhood doing what? Reliving every quote unquote bad thing, traumatic thing that you have ever experienced. And where you put your attention, well, that's what you continually experience. So, how do you change? By remembering that there is already an impression upon your mind. Literally speaking, the impression has like a hot branding iron, was an experience that you had. It was the original cause, and it is seared into your brain because it made you feel. Okay? That's how you know the impression's been left on you, by the way it made you, because you will feel. You didn't hear it, but you will feel it. That's how you know there's been an impression left. So whatever that original experience was, right? So let's say you're dealing with issues of abandonment, not wanting to be left. It was funny because I was watching one of my favorite shows last night, and that's what happened to this when she was a little girl. She was given up for adoption. And so she didn't like being left. So everybody who tried to leave her, she would kill them. I want you to hear that again. Everybody, because it's a show. It's a show. It didn't happen in real life, but I'll show you the correlation for in a second. Everybody who tried to leave her, she would kill them. Now here's somebody who does not want to be left. She doesn't want to be left. She doesn't want to be abandoned. Yet she will kill the people who try to leave her. I heard it was put in a very beautiful way. When you're sitting and you're listening to that, you don't want to be left, but but don't they leave you when you kill them? Yeah. Okay. And that would seem illogical, right? Here's the thing. It's not working by way of logic. It is working by way of neurologic. Hello? It's not logical, it is neurological. Logical means you sat there and you thought about it and you pondered it. If they want to leave and I hurt them, I will lose them anyway, and I don't want to be left. So let me keep them around so that at least they're there, just in another city. That would be logic. But neurological, meaning she was abandoned in the very beginning, and it left an impression upon her brain. So now everything she's doing in her present life is based upon that neurological impression. So the reason why we are fatigued is because of the neurological impression that's been left upon our brains. And as I mentioned before, sometimes we cannot identify that original impression. And here is where the application of the principles will set you free. The principles say, I don't care what the original cause was. What I am presently interested in is, what do you want the new impression to be? I think it's only Alzheimer's that will erode the original impression because you forget. Funny though, the brain might, but you know what? Yes, you forget. That's what will that's what will do it. But if you want to deliberately do it, you have to form a new impression. And to form a new impression is the same impressions are formed in the same way. It is a thing, an event. It's an event that made you feel. That's how we have impressions. An event that makes you feel. So much so that you won't even stop talking about it because it just, you're like, oh, wow, that really impacted me. See, like, listen to the word, it impacted, inside, image, right? Impression. It left its mark upon you. So when it left its mark upon you, you felt something. So the way to make an impression is to do deliberately, is to devise an event in your mind's eye until you feel it. The first one happens by way of just, it happens because we're living, cause and effect. But to be deliberate means you become the cause. So instead of trying to find the original cause that left such an impression upon you back in the day that you felt. And every time, even, and the funny thing is this, to avoid the feeling that caused the first impression, right? What do you think you'll do? Neurologically, those events that are happening in your present life are based upon that neurological impression. So if you're trying to avoid being hurt, notice the words I'm saying to you here. You want to avoid being hurt. You want to avoid being manipulated. You want to avoid the narcissist. Logically, that's what you want. Neurologically, though, is what you'll get because it is the thing that casts the shadow. And it is there, running in the background. So to change that impression, you have to be deliberate. In the very beginning, you weren't deliberate. It was unwitting. You were just living and it happened. And because we didn't know that that's what was happening, now we live our lives from that place, constantly fighting the old. But we're fighting the shadow of the old, not the old itself. So in order to change, because in the principles work in such a way that it takes the fight away. It takes away resistance from the situation so that you can do it easily. Let me give you an example of how you can generate your own event in your mind's eye that you can feel so that you can form a new impression and live from that one. Marketing 101. The goal of the campaign is to make you feel so that you act. That is the goal of marketing. To give you an quote unquote, an imaginary event that you can feel right here, right now, so that you will act in the only way you can. So if you look at it, we always hear Neville Goddard saying, live from the end. Marketing 101 creates the end result, how they want you to act. How are they going to get you to spend the money? They don't know how they're going to get you to spend the money. What they know is, I want them to buy this thing. So I want them to feel. I will impress them with an image that makes them feel, and they will act. That is marketing. So that sometimes we're walking down the street and you go, oh, like if my son messages me and says something, Mom, I want ... I know he saw it in a commercial. I know he did. So when I get home, he goes, Ma, I was doing this and I heard the commercial and I was like, Marketing 101 at work. They did not know how he was going to get the product. All they knew was, I want them to purchase this product. And in order to get them to purchase this product, I must devise an imaginary scenario that makes them feel the urge to do what I want them to do. Now go back to your childhood. The exact same thing happened there. An original experience that left an impression, and now you act according to it every single time. So now when we want to change, we look at the outside and we say, I don't like that anymore. I hate that. I hate my life like that. I can't stand it anymore. That's what we do. But the thing is, the way the principles work, where you have yourself focused, you don't have yourself focused on freedom. You have yourself focused on the fact that the thing you're presently experiencing hurts. That's where you are focused. And so long as that's where you are focused, that is the neurological pathway you must follow. And logically, you want to change. Hello? Logically, you say, God, can't somebody just make this go away? Make the world go away. That's what we do. We so desperately want it to stop. But the way to make it stop is to devise an experience in your mind's eye that you feel, so that you will act in the way it makes you feel. So if you don't want to choose the same kind of narcissistic man or woman in your life, why? You don't want that. What is it about it that you don't want? You don't want to be walked upon. You don't want to be taken advantage of, which means you have to devise an event that shows you your boldness so that you don't fall prey. Because they don't come for the strong, do they? They go for the... That's right. They don't go for the strong, baby. They go for the weak. They go for the easy picking, low hanging fruit is what they go for. Which means your present neurological state is feeling unworthy, not good enough. Everybody's left me, so something must be wrong with me. I better take what I can get. That's what you're doing neurologically. But logically, you're looking at this and you're like, that is not the life I want. See, so those two things are in conflict. What you logically want, but what you neurologically are in conflict. And because we stay in that position and we fight it all the time, because that's what we're taught to do, go to therapy and talk about it all the time. But hello, every time you sit there and you regurgitate what you have experienced, you're following the same neurological pathway. So the way to make a new neurological pathway is to practice marketing 101. You do not know how. All you know is, I want to behave in this new way. So, what event can I devise in my mind's eye that I can feel physically? Because that's how you'll know the impression has been made. Neville Goddard says, use the state akin to sleep, a type of reverie, a kind of daydream, because we do it naturally. He doesn't tell you count the rosary beads, because that's not naturally what we do. Naturally, what we do is create images in our mind. Naturally, it's what we do and we imagine. So you get into your mind's eye. What would I be doing if I was having my ideal relationship? Well, first of all, you would not have encountered the narcissist if that's your ideal life, because that's your ideal life. You are now devising your ideal life. And in your ideal life, you would not be taken advantage of. You would not be abused. You would not be any of those things. But what would you be doing? What is the evidence that would show you? What would inspire your feelings of trust? What would inspire your feelings of acceptance? You see, when you hear a lottery commercial, what's the first word they say? Imagine you are laying on the beach. What's the first word you hear? Imagine what your life would be like if you won this. That's the first thing they tell you. And what do? You sit there and you say, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Logically, that's what you do. But neurologically, you sit there, you say, you're lucky you get struck by lightning twice before you win the lottery. Neurologically, that is what you do. So neurologically, that's what you get. Logically, you want a good man or a good woman. But neurologically, you say, these hoes ain't loyal. She's for the streets. Oh, there are no good men about. You got to pay my bills. You got to do this. You can't do that. You broke. That's what you're saying neurologically. So, step one, you can clearly see the problem logically. When you see it logically, you know where it is neurologically. Look at how it makes you feel, and that will tell you the neurological pathway. It makes you feel unworthy. Hmm? It makes you feel unaccepted, unwanted, right? That's your neurological state. The way you feel when you experience something is showing you your neurological pathway. So now you must decide logically, what is it that I want to become? And if you say, well, I really don't know what I want to become, Angela, I'm not sure. Well, go to step two. Step two says, what would you be doing in reality if you were the man or the woman you wanted to be? What would you be doing? See, now you can start from there. Well, I would be ... I'd be doing this, and I'd be doing that. Yes, naturally. One of those scenarios, is going to make you feel something. And it's the one that's most natural to you. It is the one that is the most natural to you. When I say natural, I mean neurologically. It's the one that you're familiar with the most. That's the one you're going to pick. The path of least resistance would tell you. So, if my example from my life would be, if I were a world class speaker, what would I be doing? If I was a world class narrator, what would I be doing? Girl, let me tell you something, Linda. I'd be getting up at my time of the day when I wanted to. Oh, yes. I set my own schedule. Mm-hmm. I'd eat bonbons if I wanted to. I'd be in the yard frolicking with the chickens. Yep. I would be doing all of those things. Why? Because all of those things denote what? Freedom. I'd be on my own schedule. Not have to rush and get offline so I could get to work on time. Because I wouldn't be tethered to anything outside of myself that drives me. I would move with everything on the inside. Even though I created my own job, I created it from within myself. And I move when I feel like moving. Hmm? And I would take my time to do everything because I wouldn't be in a hurry. Why? Because I have the what now? Freedom to choose and to do as I please. Because that is what I want. The freedom. So I would go through my mind's eye and I would devise the most beautiful event that made me feel freedom. After all, that is what Marketing 101 is doing. It is making you feel, the fear of missing out. Hello? You see how potent that is? Man, the fear of missing out will have you doing crazy things to keep up with the Joneses, as if we know who the Joneses are. I don't know no Jones. But the fear of missing out is a marketing strategy. I show you something and tell you, listen, if you don't have this thing, then your life really isn't complete. If you don't have this bag, if you don't have this car, if you don't have this six-figure job, you are missing out. So now, in your mind's eye, you start to see all the ways you're missing out. And then how do you act? You do what they want you to do. And all you have done is the only thing you can do, which is to step one. Who do you want to be? Step two, experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality if you were the man or the woman you wanted to be. And step three, you felt it so viscerally in your body that it had to be real. It couldn't be anything but. You don't know how you're going to get it. You just know that it is got. And all Marketing 101 did was create an event. A what kind of event? An imaginary, because it happened inside your mind's eye. All Marketing 101 did was create an imaginary event. They created a cause that brought about the desired effect they wanted you to have. So to be deliberate now, to stop fighting against logical and neurological, you go to the origin, which is the neurological. You go there. And in your mind's eye, what in the Sam Hill would you be doing if you were not riddled with anxiety, if you were not riddled with depression? What would you be doing? That's where you go so that the fatigue stops. Because this is a battle. Go back to scripture. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against what now? Powers and principalities in high places. Now we want to take that as meaning angels and demons. But when you are so busy fighting logical against neurological, it bloody well feels like hell. It feels like the devil itself. Enough so that we say, "Ugh, God is punishing me." That's what we say. When in actuality, you are exhausted from fighting logical and neurological. What you wanted to do versus what you presently are. So the way to set yourself free is to define who you want to be, because you can clearly see who you don't want to be. You're living it, and you say, doggone it, I don't want to be that anymore. Well, you cannot fight against neurology. That pathway has been set down. You're going to lose every time. So instead of fighting against it, do what it does. Get an image in your mind of what you want to do, what you want to become. And what would be the evidence? What would be the event that would have you acting out who you say you want to be? And then you, because it is natural, it will make you feel. Do you do it once? Do you do it twice? Do you do it 3 times? Do you do it 4 times? Just do it until what? Till you experience it. Because that's the question we get. How long does this thing take? For instance, how long is she going to natter on this morning? Ah! Till you get it. So the reason why we are fatigued in this life, this is why everything is targeted towards making you and I feel. When you go to the grocery store and you go to the cash register, is it bare at the cash? Is she the only thing there? No, there's what you call a profit panel, and it is laden with things. Because if you see it, you'll act upon it. It's in your mind's eye. They have put it there. Remember the story of Jacob and Laban. Laban told Jacob, "You can have all of the spotted and sickly. Okay? You can have all that livestock." So what did Jacob do? He got sticks and he dug out little thingies to create the image of spots. And he bred all the strong livestock because Laban was only focused on what he could see. Spotted meant weak to him. But deliberately, Jacob said no. He said spotted means wealth to me. So, this is why he bred the strong ones. In front of what? The spots. So that when they saw spots, they recreated spots. Because spotted meant something to Laban, but it meant something else to Jacob. And that is why when he left, he was doggone near the richest man there was in livestock. Right? So the point to that is we spend so much time fighting against the neurological. And I'm going to say this part here too, because I hear this word a lot. They're not what's the word? They're not neurotypical. So you think because you don't think the same way as somebody else that you are not governed by your own neurology and the principles? We say, oh, I'm not neurotypical. That does not mean you don't function by cause and effect. It just means you don't think in the same fashion as everybody else, but you are still governed by those same principles. You will still cause and effect, you will still correspondence, you will still rhythm, you will still gender, you will still polarity, whether you are neurotypical or not. It just means the way information is laid down for you takes a kind of a roundabout way. That's all. But you're still governed by the principles. Principles don't discriminate. Whether you ADD, ADHD, whether you Asperger's or not, you're still governed by the principles. Which means you and I always do those 3 steps. Who do I want to become? Or what do I want to do in the world? You have to do what you are. Okay? Step 2, we begin to experience in imagination what we would be doing in reality if we were the man or the woman we wanted to be. That's what we do. And step 3, oh, we feel it. And listen, the way it feels is the key. Neville Goddard said feeling is the secret. Because it is. It is the feeling that leaves the impression. But you do it twofold if you observe. The feeling leaves the impression, but you always repeat. You always repeat. The feeling leaves the impression, but you constantly repeat that impression. So the key to your salvation is to stop fighting. Logically, you know you want to change because you're tired, right? You're fed up with the way you presently are, logically. But neurologically, that is what you are, because that is the impression that is on your mind's eye. So to lay down a new impression, because you can't just erase it, well, unless Alzheimer's helps you out, but you can't erase it. So you have to make a new impression that is stronger. And that's why you have to continually feel it until it becomes stronger to suppress the old impression. But you see that P word, patience. But here's what patience, you will become patient. Do you know why you'll become patient? Because you know that when you create that mental image to bring about the desired effect that you want, you know, I just got to keep doing it. And as long as I keep doing it deliberately, it's inevitable. So you develop patience naturally. And you develop patience naturally, or you become super creative. Why? Because you want to feel it faster. Because you know the more intense the feeling, the faster the impression is laid down, thereby the faster your outcome. But I knew when I said that, you're going to have somebody say, yeah, but how do I do it intensely? Intensity is built. Right? That's what we do. The intensity is there because it builds. So the more you experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality, you build the intensity. And as you build, because remember, you're doing it deliberately. Nobody's coming along and just hitting you with it, because clearly they have to hit you hard with it to get your attention. But you have your attention when you do it deliberately. So you take your time and you build and you build and you build and you build until that feeling hits you and you're like, I got it. And then the only thing you do now is observe how it unfolds. That's how you get rid of that fatigue of fighting to change. So that we stop saying things like, oh, I've been trying to change for 30 years, still the same. And here's the thing. When people say, I've been trying to change, I know that they have. I know. I know that they have. But what they've been doing is fighting logical against neurological and didn't know it. And that's why they're tired. And that's why they say things like, I don't want to do it anymore. The laws don't work. God's cruel. The universe is cruel. When in actuality, the power lies within what? Knowing what you want to become without judgment. Oh, but I can't. But you see the judgment arises from the neurology. What you already have set down is where the judgment emerges. Oh, remember that movie where she said her mother says color is for babies and whores. Oh, so a lady is bland and she blends in. Oh, don't draw too much attention to yourself. So now that's how you live your life. With pastels and, you know, boring colors. Because if you wear color, it must mean you, because you're not a baby, it must mean you're a hoe. Mm. Neurological. So you have to do something different. And the only thing different is to imagine, to experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality. That is where the time goes to build, not to crush. Because you can't crush the neurological. You have to build it. Anyway, I trust that that makes sense. Yes, my beautiful darling, I know. I figured when you left, I knew. Ah, beautiful ones. Ah, ah. And let's see who's here with us this morning, because I'm not going to keep you, because I got to get to work on time. I'm always early, but I like to be there a little bit earlier so I can do my filing, so she's not in the way, right? Anywho, the better man. I see you in these YouTube streets. I see you. You're the only one who's made yourself known in the chat, so I see you. Twitter, well, somebody will catch the replay on Twitter. Fanbase, who's with us? Delightful Ursula is here. Ray Ray. Afternoon Delight is kicking it with us. King Thoy is with us. Moon and Dolphin Duck. Blessings. All of Blessings is with us today. And Bob About, is that who you are? Yes, I see you. And Beautiful Ones is here. Hello. I see you all. Listen, I trust that today made sense and that you will test it for yourself. Test it for yourself. Because every time you complain about where you presently are because logically you hate it, who wouldn't, right? Who wouldn't logically hate where they are? Trust me, you would, because you want to change. The moment you acknowledge the fact that you hate it, you're running the neurological pathway, so you must continue. So to change, step one, define, because step one is the principle of mentalism. The all is mind. The universe is mental. It is only mental. So you have to go to the mental. What does mental mean? You see, we say mental means brain. No, mental means the awareness of your very existence. You are aware of what you are. As above, so below. As within, so without. Now it's correspondence. So when you say who you are, you will see the evidence of it. So now that you see neurologically what you are, because it makes you feel, right? You get in there again. You go to the source, which is the imagination. Experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality if you were living your ideal life. You see, we get caught up in the things, oh, the money and the car and the relationship. No. What do they make you feel like to have them? That's the neurological pathway you're setting down. The thing just represents the neurological pathway. That's all it's doing. The thing represents the neurological pathway. Feelings of loneliness must show up as you not having any friends. Or you could be in the middle of friends and still be lonely because you don't have connection. So remember, it's not the thing. The thing is the evidence of the neurological pathway. Because remember, as within, within is invisible. So you have to see it on the outside. So to see it on the outside, it must take form. So when it takes form in the form of money, friends, car, job, relationship, that will tell you the type of thing you have on the outside will tell you the within, the neurological pathway. So that's why you go with how does it make you feel? Because that's what you want. You want the feeling of it. Oh, yes. You want the feeling of it. So what would you be doing to make you feel that way? And that is what you imagine. That is what you experience in your imagination. And you have to know that what you feel is what you will experience. So now you're not waiting for it to happen. You are already feeling it. All you're doing is waiting for the evidence. So you can say, oh my God, what a coincidence. The stuff I'm feeling on the inside, I just experienced on the outside. And you see why you get excited about life now? Because you're excited about, wonder I know how this is going to look because I know how I feel. And I know the feeling is going to match the experience. The experience is going to match the feeling. I know this. And what do? You continually do it because it gives you life. But to fight the logical against the neurological will continually cause you fatigue. And the fatigue is real. So, with that being said, hello, Michael. I see you. Well, if you have any questions, y'all know where to find me. I'll be right here. You can DM me. Okay? Some of you have my WhatsApp. Message me there and I'll respond. And sometimes I'm a little busy, but I get back to you. But practice, okay? And stop being so fatigued. Fatigue is the effect. What's the cause? A fight between the invisible. Between the invisible. Invisible what? Your logic is invisible, and so is your neurology. It is invisible to the naked eye, or to the untrained eye. So, my beautiful friends, go forth today and test yourself. Recognize that it is not the thing. It is the feeling that the thing brings. The thing is only the corroborating evidence. Anyhow, countdown initiated. And I will close all rooms because it is 5:55 and I got to leave in 40 minutes. Ow! 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Much love to each and every one of you. You are incredibly beautiful. You'll see the evidence. I love you. Mwah.